and their recent minimum wage case that's been in the news this past month. And so I want to introduce our host for the night, Katie Conrad, aka Katie DeGeneres.
So we all know where that slogan comes from. McDonald's Corporation is currently the world's largest fast food restaurant chain of hamburger restaurants in the world. It was founded in 1940 and began franchising in 1955 when Ray Kroc bought the rights to franchise the restaurant. Recently, on April 1st, 2015, the current CEO and president, Steve Easterbrook, made a public announcement and commitment to raise the minimum wage by $1 above the current local minimum wage for all his employees. Then, a few weeks later, on April 15, 2015, over 40 countries participated in the petitions called Fight for 15. They were petitioning for a livable hourly wage, and they were petitioning to get their wages increased to $15 an hour. Now, here to represent McDonald's Corporation, we have our CEO, Heyman Lee, and our corporate franchise owner, Edward Lai. And now to represent the general public, we have our franchise worker, Conrad, and our third-party director, Donald. Thank you all for being here today.
It's a pleasure. Yeah. It's a pleasure. Thank you.
Now, Heyman, as we recently heard in the news, McDonald's is raising their minimum wage to $1 above the local minimum average. How does this affect McDonald's Corporation?
Thanks for asking. So this was a really big decision that took a lot of thought and effort into it. We had to take into consideration a lot of different factors, such as our employees, but also our financial documents, franchise accounting, and how that would affect all the situation. And yeah, we really, really value our employees, and we want to make a difference in their lives. And so there was a question that we had to answer together as a corporation, and that was to what can McDonald's do in order to serve its people? And yeah, raising minimum wage, I think, is just the initial step that we can take in order to make McDonald's a bigger and more modern and progressive burger entity.
Now, you mentioned that this will affect your franchise's financials and franchise accounting. How so?
Well, by increasing minimum wage, we have salaries, but also wages that increase, of course, right? Because we're putting more money into that. But also, this is going to affect only about 90,000 employees that we have, and only 1,500 locations that are company-owned within just the United States. And in these specific locations, of course, salaries and wages, expense, and payables are going to substantially increase in the income statement, but also in the balance sheet, respectively. And we hope that in the future we'll be able to see an increase in productivity, also in revenues in the future.
Thank you. Now, Edward, as a local franchise owner, how do you feel about the people fighting for 15?
Well, I think it is unfair that some local laws considers franchise owners as like national corporations of over 500 employees. I mean, look at me. I'm just a small business owner who employs 20 people in my store. So that's similar with like the individually owned sandwich shop down the road. And how come we're being targeted to raise wages to $15 while everyone else stays the same? Like for me, this change is unjustified.
I mean, Edward, your responsibility as a manager is to make sure that your employees are being satisfied mentally and physically. So if raising the wage to $15 an hour is going to improve the sustainability of your employees, then you should do it because they work hard for it and they give you profit out of their hard work. So I think you should increase the wage to $15.
Well, I understand what you're saying. We all want to make a living here. But did you know that franchise owners make just a small margin of profit? Not enough for the amount of hard work we put in. Just 3% of sales goes to the before tax profit. And considering I'm taking the risk for potentially losing money, increasing minimum wage will put on an unbearable and unreasonable burden. So putting things into perspective, compared to what goes to the employees, 26% of the sales goes to the employees' wages and payroll,
Yeah.
So yeah, so I think, you know, we should just not talk about it.
Thank you, Edward and Donald. Now, Conrad, we would also like to hear from you, a current franchise worker.
Well, personally, I feel undervalued in my current job. I feel like McDonald's isn't really valuing their employees correctly. And so, we are the people that bring the brand to life every single day by directly interacting with customers. And so, I struggle every single day to support myself and my family because the minimum wage as it stands is not livable. Right. So, I'm thinking that the best option that would be to raise the minimum wage so that you can satisfy the employees' needs, because that needs to be what comes first. Yeah.
Well, Conrad, I want to tell you that, McDonald's is working on a comprehensive benefits package that we're providing to all of the employees. And we've listened to all the complaints and what the employees had to say, and we realized that raising minimum wage is simply not enough for you and all the other people who are in the corporation. And to combat this, we want to also increase personal paid time off for all McDonald's employees and provide financial resources for you and everyone else to finish their education. And so these opportunities are not limited to the higher-ups, but they're open to everyone, and I mean everyone. And hopefully in the future we'll be able to provide for you and the other people and to just give you guys resources to be able to increase your skills, to provide training, but also to give you opportunities to improve in what you do.
Sure. CEO, you should have disclosed more of this information in the first place. Yes, you should have. Because right now, Conrad, he's on the spot. He would have predicted what will happen in the worst case scenario, but right now he doesn't have any choice. Because I don't think there's anything in his hands, like personally pay, any financial assistance, there's none of that. He has nothing right now. So, you gotta help.
Thank you for your point, Donald. You raised a good point that they should disclose more information.
Yeah.
And as our CEO, do you want to respond?
Yeah, of course. Well, I want to say first of all that yes, as the CEO and the representative of McDonald's, I do have a substantial amount of responsibility and ownership of our company and our decisions. But I also want to let all of you guys know that as the corporation, we only own 1,500 out of the 15,000 locations in America. And about 90% of this 15,000 is owned by franchise owners and independent local businessmen and women, just like Edward. And these people, they have the authority to set the benefits, but also the pay standards for each of these workers within their location. And do you know that franchises actually aren't required to disclose all of their information on their financial statements, unlike the corporation? And so my hope is that by taking this action, we'd be able to pressure franchise locations to succumb to this raising trend of increasing minimum wage. Yeah, to be competitive in the market.
Thank you, Heyman. You raise a good point that the protesters should be focusing more on the franchises than on corporate McDonald's to make a lasting impact. But corporate McDonald's also needs to continue to make change.
Well, Heyman, your announcement is pretty misleading. It makes it sound like most employees, or almost all employees, will be receiving a minimum raise increase. But the reality is that only 1 out of 10 McDonald's employee worker will actually be receiving this increase. People who work at independently operated franchise stores like Edwards, and where I work at personally, they don't receive any benefits from corporate action. So I feel like you guys need to step up and do more to come into the franchise situation and say, oh, we're standing up for our workers. We want to increase the minimum wage for them as well.
That's really, really true. Because talking about disclosing the information, I don't think that you have any proof on your financial reports and your quarterly reports that you don't have enough cash to run the business, like Edward said. I don't think you have any proof of that. Yes, I don't think so. And also there's a conspiracy which says that if you increase the wage of the McDonald's worker, then you receive more money because the McDonald's worker represent the elements of the lower class. So if they receive more money, then they will spend it more where it is cheap in McDonald's. So overall, I'm going to recommend you guys to improve and increase the wage rate.
people shouldn't forget, everyone out there that's listening, that we are fighting for 15, and they're minimizing the situation by only offering to increase the minimum wage by $1 for employees average. So this is not enough.
This is not enough.
Well, it's a tough decision.
Yeah, and especially employees come at a cost. So, I mean, 5415 will ultimately hurt many of the low-skill, entry-level workers that is trying to help. Since wage increase beyond what the market can bear will lead to less hiring, and because more jobs around here is like routine tasks. Therefore, we'll be adopting new technology and automate our processes in order to eliminate some human positions.
But Edward, you should have automatized every single work process in the first place, not even thinking of hiring any employee. Because you hire one of your best employees and you're trying to throw him away like an old son. So you can't do that because human beings are employees and employees can't be treated as human machines that can be replaced any given time being for no reason, for no tangible reason especially. Because I'm sure you have enough revenue and enough profit to run this business.
Thank you for your input, Donald. I appreciate you all being here. Do you have anything else you want to add? Thank you, Heyman, Edward, Conrad, and Donald. As our final suggestion, do we all agree that franchises need to disclose more information and corporate McDonald's need to be more involved at the franchise level?
Definitely, yes.
Yeah, I think
Explore it.
that.
Explore it.
So now we actually have some questions for you guys. So one of the first things that we were most curious about is, what are your thoughts on raising the minimum wage nationally? Did you guys have maybe any thoughts on that?